Have you ever noticed that some people spend years learning and somehow they become less valuable? That doesn't make any sense because we're told the more you learn, the more successful you'll become, right? So then, why are there people who've read hundreds of books, taking dozens of courses, learned five different skills, and still nobody really needs them? While someone else who seems to know way less becomes the person everyone wants to hire. That bothered me because of learning more doesn't automatically make you more valuable. Then what does? So I spent weeks digging to research, reading books like Range, Deep Works, and So Good They Can Ignore You. And after all of that, I realized almost everyone is asking a wrong question. The question isn't how can I learn more? It's what should I stop learning? And that answer might completely change the way you think about success. Here's what I think most people completely miss: learning feels productive. Every new skill gives you a little dopamine hit. A new course, a new book, a new YouTube video, a new AI tool. For a moment, you feel like you're moving forward. But here's the problem: starting something and getting good at something are two completely different things. Most of us aren't actually building skills anymore. We're collecting them. We know a little bit about marketing, a little bit of coding, a little bit of investing, a little bit of design, or a little bit of AI. And after a few years, our brain starts telling us, look how much you've learned. But the market asked a completely different question: what can you do that almost nobody else can't? And that's where most smart people get stuck. Not because they aren't capable, not because they aren't working hard, but because every time something starts getting difficult, they discovered another exciting thing to learn. I didn't realize it first, but the research said something really interesting. Our brain loves novelty, but expertise is built through repetition, and those two things are constantly fighting each other. So, if our brain naturally chases novelty, does that mean we should just keep learning everything? That's actually what I thought, until I read Range by David Epstein. And here's the funny part: most people completely misunderstand this book. They think it's saying, don't specialize. That's not what it's saying at all. The real message is much more interesting. David argues that the people who become exception usually don't specialize immediately. They explore first. They try different things, different sports, different interests, different ways of thinking. One of the best example is Roger Federer. Before becoming one of the greatest tennis player in history, he wasn't just playing tennis. He played soccer, basketball, handball. He was constantly exposing himself to different challenges. But here's the part people leave out. Eventually, he stopped exploring and he committed. That's the part everyone skips because exploring is exciting, committing isn't. And I think that's exactly where our generation gets stuck. We stay in exploration for years. Another course, another skill, another productivity system, another AI tool. We convince ourselves we are growing, but in reality, we are just delaying the moments. For real mastery begins. Range doesn't tell you to stay at generalist forever. It tells you to explore so you can make a better decision about what deserves your deepest focus. And those are two different things. So, if committing is the answer, why is it so hard? Because your brain was never designed to feel the world we live in today. Every notification, every new app, every new AI tool, every new opportunity, every new course is competing for the exact same thing: your attention. And here's what surprised me the most: almost every major study published over the last couple of years keeps pointing to the same idea. Your attention is now more valuable than your time. Think about that. Most people spend years trying to manage their time, but the real problem is that they never learned how to protect their attention. Researchers call this attention residue. Every time you switch tasks, part of your brain stays behind. You answer one email, then jump back to your project, then check your phone, then open ChatGPT, then YouTube, then Slack, then back to work. It feels like you're being productive, but your brain never gets the chance. to go deep. Cal Newport talks about this in Deep Work. He argues that the ability to focus without distraction is becoming one of the rarest skills in the modern world. And that's exactly why it's becoming one of the most valuable. The scary part is most people don't even realize their attention is being fragmented. They just feel busy, but being busy and creating something valuable are two completely different things. And then I came across something Steve Jobs once said. People think focus means saying yes to the thing you've got to focus on. But that's not what it means at all. It means saying no to the 100 other good ideas. That completely changed how I think about success because here's the mistake most of us make. We think successful people do more. They don't. They actually do less. But they do it for much longer. Look at almost anyone who's become world class. They weren't trying to master 10 different things at once. They found one thing worth committing to and they stay with it long after everyone else got distracted. That's exactly what Calvin Ward talks about in Deep Work. Deep work isn't just about focusing harder, it's about creating a life where distraction doesn't get to make your decisions anymore. And that's also what So Good They Can Ignore You argues. Real career capital doesn't come from chasing what's exciting every week, it comes from becoming so good that people can't ignore your work. That's the part social media rarely shows you. You see the success, you don't see the thousands of hours where someone kept showing up doing the same thing over and over again. So maybe the question isn't what should I learn next? Maybe the better question is what am I willing to stay with long enough to become exceptional? Because the people who eventually look like overnight successes usually spend years saying no to almost everything else. So maybe success isn't about learning faster or working longer or finding one more productivity hack. Maybe it's much simpler than that. Maybe success is just choosing something worth becoming great at and staying with it long after the excitement disappears. Because motivation fades, curiosity fades, the new feeling always fades. What stays is commitment. The people we admire today didn't become exceptional because they knew more than everyone else. They became exceptional because they stopped starting over. And maybe that's the real lesson behind everything we've talked about today. Range teaches you to explore. Deep work teaches you to protect your attention. So good they can't ignore you teaches you to build rare and valuable skills. Steve Jobs reminds you that every meaningful yes requires hundreds of meaningful no's. So here's a question I'd actually like you to think about. What's the one skill, the one craft, or the one project that would completely change your life if you stayed with it for the next 5 years? Not 5 weeks, not 5 months, 5 years. I'd love to hear your answer. Leave it in the comment. I read every single one, and who knows, maybe writing it down is the first real commitment you make.